Thank you very much, Kareem. So hello, everybody. I'm Adam, and I'm here to introduce you to Makeda Antoine Cambridge for her talk on the role of youth, women, and technology in creating the new normal for small states. Hello, Makeda, first of all. Let's just check we can hear you. Are you there?
Yes, I believe you can. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly, but you're on your side.
Okay, let's try to fix this.
Don't worry, you sort that out, and I'll introduce you to everybody with us in the room and beyond. Okay. So, Makeda Antoine Cambridge is one of the most influential people of African descent under 40. So said MEPAD when they named her in their top 100 list last year. That was after becoming the 10th ambassador and permanent representative to the United Stations Geneva for Trinidad and Tobago in 2017. She comes from the field of information and communications technology, which has been her specialty for 21 years. And in spite of her rise to prominence, she remains humble to her roots. Makeda says she was brought up in a working class family with parents who instilled the belief in their children that if you work your butt off, good things will come to you. A philosophy I'm sure she continues today with a charity to support young people, especially women, into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We now have the privilege of hearing her talk on the role of youth, women, and technology in creating the new normal for small states. We'll have time for questions. I can see she's in the waiting room at the moment. So, Rob, if you would just be able to let Makeda in, that'd be cool. So we'll have questions in the second part of this session. So if you have any, please do leave them in the private chat area. And then hopefully Makeda will be able to respond to them. Okay, Makeda, are you back with us? Hello, Makeda.
I am. Are you seeing me?
Yes, you're still on your side. I don't know if there's anything that can be done about that.
I don't know. Yesterday we got it perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes technology doesn't work. Let's see.
There we are. That's fine.
Now
you've done that. That works wonderfully. So I've done a nice little introduction for you there, or at least I hope it was nice. And everybody is ready to hear from you and your talk. And they'll be putting their questions to you as well if they have them in the private chat for the second part of the session. But take it away. It's all yours.
Ooh. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me clearly? I think I have my producer husband literally holding it for me. I'm not sure what's happening, but I will get right into it. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I am entirely pleased for this opportunity. I will start sharing a bit of a story about myself. As a child, I wanted to be a lawyer or a pastor. But my mother, as strong-willed as she was, God bless her soul, she's no longer with us, she did not approve of my career choices. Let's just say, as a very religious woman, she was uncomfortable with lawyers and their relationship with the truth. And as a very religious woman, she felt being a pastor as a woman was quite controversial. I always cared about justice and human rights and speaking out about unfairness and inequality as a child. But here I am today, speaking at the Future Law Virtual Summit, invited by one of our most prolific and well-respected lawyers from my little island, Mrs. Margaret Rose Goddard. I think God must be smiling. It is an honor. I came from a beautiful country, 1.4 million people. You might know of us. We are known for our carnival, greatest show on earth. Oil and gas, sun, sea, and sand, as well as some of the best athletes in the world. Yes, I'm not just saying that they are some of the best in the world. Atto Bolden, Dwight York, Brian Lara, Russell Latipi, not to mention some of the best food ever. Roti, pilau, oil dung. But more importantly, I come from a small village, 2,500 people. Working class parents, 6 sisters, 2 brothers. A feminist father who socialized his girl children, as he would call us, to not depend on a man. Not normal. A mother who had a double-barrel name in a time when a wife was supposed to abandon her last name and adopt her husband's name wholeheartedly, As a matter of fact, I remember she tried a daddy that she was somebody before she met him. Not normal. A mother who worked, read, led, ran a small food business and believed in being your best. But I think my family dynamics would help you understand my passion and reason for gravitating to these areas, especially youth leadership and women empowerment. I am number 7 in my family, where my elder brothers and sisters are actually like my second parents. Even if my mother had a special love for her boys' children, you knew we were equal, especially when it came to chores. Whether it was maintaining the lawn, taking care of the animals, or assisting in the business. Not normal again. At 7, even if I had major respect for my brothers and sisters and my parents, as a young woman and even as a girl, my voice was heard in a time where little girls were seen and not to be heard. Not normal. From that start, I realized that when I spoke up on behalf of others, respectfully, my voice was heard. This led to my early involvement in leadership in my church, where I was a youth leader from a teenager and at school, prefect, choir director, Victress Lutheran. Then I decided, since there is support at home and church, why not impact my community? At 19, I was the education officer for my village council. Again, not normal. To me, speaking up for others was a rewarding experience where organizations became stronger and I felt more welcome. And I'm sure there are many like me. Then I entered the world of work at 19, and then the world of politics, and realized it was not really managed in the same manner. I have been fortunate to have lived and worked in my home country, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, United Arab Emirates, and Switzerland, all small states. I've been blessed to have some of the most amazing bosses who have ever lived, who saw my giftedness and allowed me the autonomy and the respect to lead. But I've also had bosses who were misogynist and racist. And the more I shared my experiences about the latter, I realized that those issues were not unique to people, a religion, or a race. These issues seem global. Treatment of youth and treatment of women. We all know about COVID-19 and its disastrous yet transformative effect. So let's discuss our current situation, starting with youth, and how do we create the new normal? When you see a baby for the first time, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Oh, she's so cute. He's so adorable. Even when they're preteen, we want to know what's going on in their lives. So how come when they reach between the ages of 15 to 24, we don't seem to care that much about them? We might say we love them. We may love our children, our relatives, but collectively, do we care about youth? Is this care demonstrated in our policies, our budgets, and our opportunities? Let me tell you some great things about Generation Z. That's what they called, between the ages of 15 to 24. As of October 2020, 16% of the world's population is estimated to be between the ages of 15 to 24. Depending on what age group you define youth to be, or where you are based geographically, those numbers can go as high as 50%. Generation Z is ultra connected. So the digital world that we are struggling with, they have mastered. In the US, they make up 25.9%, where 98% own a smartphone, 92% have a digital footprint, and 72% believe racial equality is the most important issue today. Unfortunately for them, they have grown up during a recession and was raised by Generation Xers, us, and they prefer brands that feel authentic. But what I like about them, and I love working with youth at all different levels, in all different forms, this generation tend to be more pragmatic and focused on saving money. In the workplace, 77% work harder than previous generations. And they want to have multiple roles at the organization. When we are creating the new normal, we have to keep in mind our capacity as well as our buildings. More and more for our young people, we see are very involved in issues like global climate change, Black Lives Matter. But are you aware how negatively young people were affected by COVID-19? Did you know that 1 in 6 young people are out of work, according to the International Labour Organization, while those working have seen their hours drop by 23%? The ILO reports that young people are 3 times as much as adults to be unemployed. One can say, well, that young people must utilize their innate innovation and creativity and create opportunities for themselves. But the countries, the governments, must focus on resources for young professionals and assist in their development. The ILO is concerned that the potential of youth is not being harnessed as they see the youth labor participation decline from 568 million to 497 million in the last 10 years. Young people are concerned by the digital divide. For them, whether it be social mobility, may it be internet access, may it be access to devices, but very concerningly, do you know 1 out of 5 young people worldwide are not in employment, education, training, or on unemployment? And it is more prevalent among young women in sub-regions. Another major concern, and you will hear nearly every young person speak about this across the global South and North, is the informal economy. That's where most of them are working, that lacks legal and social protection or opportunities for training and career. Imagine 3 out of 4 young workers worldwide are engaged in informal work. In areas of sub-Saharan Africa and Southern Asia, it can go as high as 90%. Even if technology is welcomed, there's a real fear by young people that jobs will be lost. Essentially, there's a lack of decent jobs for young people and a need for a new policy framework at the macro level, meso level, and micro level. The new normal must address decent jobs for our young people, unemployment, underemployment, and opportunities for training. Young people must be part of the social dialogue. They must have a voice in policy decisions. We need to give them a fighting chance like we got. We need to do better by young people. It was Nelson Mandela that said, there can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way it treats its children. Young people, you are the new normal. Let your voices be heard. Women. Imagine a world without women. What would you miss? Think of your life, your family, how we love, our compassion, our collaborative approach to leading. Why are so many unwilling to embrace what we can bring to the table? I am personally inspired by the quote from Shirley Chisholm, the first woman to run for US president and of Caribbean heritage, who says, if they don't give you a seat at the table, you bring a folding chair. During COVID-19, data has shown that countries that managed the pandemic best were run by women leaders. Jacinda Ardern, Prime Minister of New Zealand, congratulations on a second term. You continue to lead with compassion and empathy. The Taiwan President, Tsai Ing-wen, and Germany, especially under Angela Merkel. Studies continue to show that gender-equal societies or women-led societies tend to focus on a better quality of life for all. Education, health, security, and so their citizens continue to enjoy better health, stronger economic growth, and higher security. Women are succeeding, according to the Harvard Business Review, not in spite of certain characteristics generally defined as feminine and inappropriate, but because of that. Male leaders tend to be transactional, women leaders, transformational, encouraging participation, interaction at all levels, sharing power and encouraging staff. But women only make up 20 to 25% of positions in political spaces, managerial jobs, or the boardroom, even if we have 49.6% of the population. Goal 5 of the UN SDG is focused on empowering women. And data shows that addressing gender inequality can be the single biggest opportunity for inclusive growth. McKinsey Global Institute supports that 28 trillion can be added to the global economy by 2025 if we bridge the gender gap. Now with COVID, it'll take us at least 100 years to even bridge the gender gap. For small states, education of girls and women have been critical in the strategic development. According to the UNICEF, educating girls is a surefire way to raise economic productivity, lower infant and maternal mortality, improve nutritional status, and reduce health poverty. Countries that invest in girls benefit in the long and short term. During this pandemic, violence against women and girls have increased. And now there's a real risk that girls will not return to school once they reopen. Sadly, it's parents who sometimes place lesser values on a girl's education during the pandemic. So we might see more girls than boys lagging behind with studying and dropping out of schools. During the pandemic, women continue to be disproportionately affected. Rachel Thomas, CEO of Leanin, stated that in the US, 1 out of 4 women are currently downsizing their career or leaving the workforce. What a tragedy. A loss of talent, creativity, ideas, productivity. This is serious cause for concern, and government and businesses must come up with bolder solutions involving childcare and building trust and empathy. Another study spoke of about 50% of women leaving their technology jobs at 35 due to a lack of inclusion. To make matters worse, women earn an average of 84% what men earn. In the US, Black women earn 62 cents, Native women earn 57 cents, and Latinos earn 54 cents for every dollar that a white man makes. Furthermore, in today's connected world, women are being left behind. Drawing from the GSMA's Gender Gap Report, 300 million fewer women than men access the internet. However, with their Connected Women program, they estimate that closing the gender gap could bring $140 billion between 2019 to 2023. Even as entrepreneurs, we are discriminated. According to the World Bank, the Latin American and the Caribbean group has the second highest level of female entrepreneurship in the world at 40%. But these businesses are in the informal sector and are prone to be affected by shocks or natural disaster. And what continues to happen? Women struggle for funding for their loans. Why is this so? Banks still perceive women businesses as risky, even if our track record shows that we repay our loans. As a result, women entrepreneurs have been asked for higher interest rates and higher guarantees. As governments shape policies to address the new normal, it is urgent that female workers be on the same footing as male workers, especially since women make up the majority of the frontline workers. 70% is estimated by the WHO. While we've seen some improvements regarding women empowerment due to legislation, governance codes, increased political push, COVID has wiped out many of these gains. And so it is important in creating this new normal that policymakers step up to reestablish a path towards a more equal society for men and women. Girls, young women, you are the new normal. Your voices must be heard. Let's move to technology. Digitization, digitalization, digital transformation, emerging technologies is the order of the day. According to the World Economic Forum, the fourth industrial revolution represents a fundamental change in the way we live, work, and relate to one another. However, many are concerned that this fourth industrial revolution is only as good as the people behind it. While there are great expectations of new jobs in software development, cybersecurity, data analysis, there are concerns for small states specific to increasing joblessness, racism in emerging technologies, data privacy, the digital divide, and data ownership. COVID-19 has been a trigger for digital transformation as more businesses, governments, and schools embrace their benefit, whether it be competitiveness, innovation, adaptability, access, quality, and speed. And emerging technologies can be useful for small states, where blockchain, artificial intelligence, and robotics can play an important role in promoting transparency and addressing corruption. However, given the concerns raised regarding racism in emerging technologies, there's a call for more racial and ethnic minorities to be involved in the decision-making and design. Technology has been criticized for carrying its own biases that are shaped by racial, ethnic, gender, and other inequalities that discriminate us in all aspects of life: education, employment, healthcare, justice, criminal justice. Even facial recognition has been identified as reinforcing racist forms of policing and surveillance, according to Ms. Achuem, Special Rapporteur appointed by the Human Rights Council. Digital transformation is the new normal, where businesses, schools, and governments have been dragged online. While there are many benefits in this direction, small states need to be adequately prepared for the journey. I was born in a small state, and I've been fortunate to work and live in 3 other small states, as I mentioned. Resident in Switzerland, my husband and I sometimes marvel at the decentralized democracy in action, the referendums, the direct democracy, the presidential terms of 1 year. From my experience as an ambassador at the United Nations, I have seen how upfront the multilateral system works. And so I applaud the lawyers at Future Collaborative for leading the charge, while understanding that chances of success are increased with a multi-stakeholder bottom-up approach. I strongly believe small states need to be in the negotiating room and around the negotiating table. We need to be involved in all stages. We need increased solidarity and South-South cooperation. I give 2 examples where small states, Trinidad and Tobago, has been instrumental to major UN policies, namely the establishment of the International Criminal Court, where our former Prime Minister and President, Mr. A.N.R. Robertson, is remembered as the grandfather of the International Criminal Court and a pioneer of global justice. In 2007, the Port of Spain Declaration of Non-Communicable Diseases, NCDs, was resulted from a historic and unprecedented effort by heads of government of CARICOM, who recognized the burden and consequences of NCDs. In the new normal, these actions should not be exceptional. They should become the norm. Small states, you are the new normal. Your voice must be heard. In the new normal, there's a lot of talk about diversity, but we also need inclusion. In the new normal, we will not tolerate utokenism. In the new normal, we will not tolerate glass cliff phenomenon for women. We will not tolerate unequal pay, domestic violence, or racism. May I suggest a way forward? Take, for example, the Black Lives Matter movement. While controversial to some, it was started in 2013 as a decentralized political and social movement advocating for non-violent civil disobedience against incidents of police brutality. Some may agree or disagree with their methods, but I can tell you one thing: you have heard their message. Black Lives Matter, especially given the killing of George Floyd. Did you know that movement was started by 3 women? 3 women of African descent: Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, Opal Tupati. Let's consider another important issue that's affecting our livelihood: climate change. Who's one of the most known activists of our time? 17-year-old Swedish activist Greta Thunberg. Someone shared with me that the system is not really broken. It was not created with us in mind. If you followed me today, you might realize I did not come from a normal environment. And if I go back to my story in the beginning, it seemed that some callings are generational. While I did not become a lawyer, my 22-year-old niece, well, grandniece, is a law student. And I am so proud of her. She starts her fight for justice, peace, and equality. She represents the new normal. Over the weekend, I attended TD Jakes' Women That Would Lose virtual conference, and his daughter, Pastor Sarah Jakes, made a powerful statement that I would like to leave with you today. God still uses shaky voices. Shaky voices can still shake the world. I thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Makeda. That was utterly captivating. And that time has flown by as well. Thank you so much. And thank you to your husband as well, whose arm must be severely aching right now.
Baby, you can say thank you.
Thank you. What's his name?
Jason.
Jason, thank you, Jason. You played a huge part in us learning a lot there about the different topics that you've mentioned. Now we've got only 5 minutes to go before we move into the next session. So if you have questions for Makeda, get them into the private chat as soon as possible. There are so many different areas. I've been making notes. I've got a million questions. So I'm going to pose one to you while other people are hopefully preparing their own. I'm really glad you mentioned the movement for Black Lives and the climate strikes. They're being led by younger people, and particularly young women. They're the ones leading the way. Do you see that trend replicated in small states as well?
Well, we have seen some activity, even in my own country. It was a young woman of African descent who also led our Black Lives Matter movement at home. She was the first one. And I see it replicated in other regions where this Generation Z, they are not intent on staying quiet. They are speaking out. We've even seen recently in our region, we had some issues regarding grades. And whereas if that had happened in our generation, we would quietly complain, they were out protesting. So I expect to see more young people come to the fore and speak up on whatever issues that affect them.
And I wonder, what is your call to men in small states to check that they're not part of the obstructions in the way of these young people thriving, especially young women?
Yes, yes. So we need more allies. We need more collaborators. We need people who understand. I remember it was some leader, I can't remember the name of the country, who said, we created these problems and these young people have to come and find solutions for them. And we're not even giving them an avenue to find solutions. So we need more of our leaders to understand it's not a matter of replacing. It's a succession plan. It's everybody coming on board and trying to find a solution to move forward. Because these are unprecedented times. These issues are nothing we have been faced with before, whether it be unemployment, whether it be COVID-19. We need everybody in the room around the table adding to this discussion and seeking towards real pragmatic solutions.
Well, just as you said that, the very moment you said we need to bring women to the table, Lakita has posted a question, which is, how do we actually bring women to the table? Education is said to be key, but there are challenges, one being poverty. There is also the issue of a system that prioritizes a traditional education that does not serve everyone. How do we overcome these hurdles to actually bring women to the table? And we've only got 2 minutes for you to answer that huge question.
I think education is definitely important, because when a woman is more informed, she's more confident, she's more prepared to speak. But I think social media has been a very fantastic tool in this day and age. A lot of young women have been starting whatever initiative, whether it is their own businesses, whether it's talking out against domestic violence, whether it's talking about education placement. So I think we need to use the tools that are available to us. And sometimes we have to lobby against what we're seeing. If our government is not taking us seriously, we need to speak. And if it's not at the national or federal level, you can go at the local government level. You can speak to your MP, you can speak to your councillor, but you need to let your voices be heard. Because once they realize, okay, there's gonna be a problem, let's listen to what they have to say. They may feel more inclined to hear. And once they open that door and you have provided a solution, be very mindful, there will be many agendas, but there will be good people who want to move forward. And I think if there's a will, there's a way. Use social media, find like-minded people, create your opportunities, whether it's starting your own business, starting your own NGOs, and you will see doors open for you. I can personally attest to this.
And final quick question from me. You mentioned you're the 7th of 9 children, one of 7 girls, and you watched your older siblings graft their way away to success, and your parents encouraging that. How important is it for young people in small states in particular to have role models?
Oh, absolutely important. And it starts with home. Because if home sets a precedent that you should not be in this kind of role, or this is a male role, this is a female role. You already created a stumbling block in your child who wants to venture otherwise. Role models help you understand, because many of us are not connected. We do not have the relationships with those who have the power. So a role model says to me, or any young girl, if she can do that, I can do that. She came from there, but I know that village, I know that town. That gives you a desire to yearn, to be inspired, and to just make things happen. And you don't have to start big. Sometimes you just say, oh, she did her master's at that school. Okay, I want to know what are the requirements to go to that school. Role models are necessary for young people, for young women who do not have access to opportunities.